Hello ladies and gentlemen, Luke Innes here again. I am going to be doing another film review for you today. I'm going to be talking about the 2006 remake of Wes Craven's 1977 classic, The Hills Have Eyes. Okay, so this remake of The Hills Have Eyes was directed by Alexandre Aja. It was indeed produced by Wes Craven. It doesn't particularly star anyone of note. It keeps the story the same. A family is headed on a road trip and in the middle of the desert they run into an accident, slightly different here, which results in them becoming trapped overnight in the desert in their camper van. Whilst out in the desert they are tracked and eventually attacked by a gang of feral cannibals, the nature of which is slightly different in this movie, but it's mostly the same. The good thing about the movie is it is very nicely paced. It feels very pacey. It's a fairly faithful adaptation of the original, aside from a couple of things, which are the kind of introduction of this sort of nuclear subplot, the idea that this sort of family has been affected by like radiation, and that's why they're so fucked up looking, as opposed to in the original when they were just sort of like a little bit inbred and fucked up, and for whatever reason they were just feral. Another thing I really liked is that the effects in the movie were really good. They were done by the guys from K&G Effects. All the blood looks fine. All the blood and gore is really good quality stuff. Also, the trouble is that in this they kind of made an effort to make the family of cannibals appear a lot more visually deformed than before in the original version of the film. But as a result of this, they kind of don't look real. The effects job is really good, but it kind of removes a little bit from reality, the reality of the original. You know, the original family, you know, were pretty weird looking, but like Michael Berryman looks a little bit weird because that's just how he looks in real life as the result of his own affliction. That's not special effects making him look like that. The other big downside of the movie is that it doesn't change an awful lot from the original Hills Have Eyes, because that story is a fairly timeless one. It doesn't rely too much on stuff from its own. Obviously in this one they did introduce a couple of things, you know, mobile phones and stuff that weren't in the original, obviously, but the general nucleus of the story really is unchanged here. They do strip away certain details, like the details about kind of the father who runs the gas station. It's all sort of implicit in this one, but yeah, that relies on your knowledge of the previous movie. And the result of that is that the film kind of feels sort of pointless, because it doesn't bring much new to the table in terms of remaking the film. It does feel like it's just been sort of updated, had the pace cranked up for a younger, modern audience. I say modern, the movie came out 10 years ago, but you know, the difference between the 70s and 10 years ago in terms of pacing in horror movies, I feel like that's all this movie's really for, because there is nothing about this movie that to the heart will replace The Hills Have Eyes in the hearts of fans, because obviously that movie is fine as it is. We don't really need a slick, updated, modern version of the movie to love, because we love the original anyway. Generally, I don't think there's too much that you could actually criticise The Hills Have Eyes for, aside from a couple of things, such as the like what I was saying before about the effects removing from the story slightly and kind of moving away from the projection of reality, which ultimately is what the original Hills Have Eyes was sort of all about, was the somewhat portrayed reality. Other than that fact, it is a really well constructed and put together film. It just sort of feels a little bit pointless for someone like me, who is familiar with the original, to watch this film, because it really doesn't bring anything new to the table, which is ultimately what I would want from a remake. Unfortunately, there aren't any remakes that really do that. So I'm going to give the 2006 remake of The Hills Have Eyes a 5 out of 10. The film is perfectly well put together, and had it been an original story I probably would have given it a much higher score, but the fact that there is already a great film to judge this against does kind of colour my view of it as a slightly unnecessary, well, not just slightly, but quite an unnecessary remake for me personally. I'm sure there's plenty of people who saw this movie with no knowledge of the original Hills Have Eyes and really enjoyed it. I possibly would have been one if that was the case, but I am a fan of the original movie, so I'm not a part of that. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Luke Innes. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you check out my podcast, Ironcast. Link as always is in the description. Thanks for watching.